And then there were three races to decide the Winston Cup Championship this weekend. We go to the Rock. Hey, check out the spiffy new garage area. Just one of many changes, many improvements here at North Carolina Motor Speedway. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain. Welcome to NASCAR today. I'll tell you something that is not new this weekend. The rain on Friday that washed out qualifying. It's the 13th time in the last 15 Winston Cup weekends that rain has affected the schedule. So no qualifying on Friday, but the focus remains on these two guys. Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, contenders for the championship, and coincidentally, the last two guys to win here at the Rock. Gordon, who'd never done much at the Rock in the past, won big here last spring, launching what would become his run for the championship.
The things that we've learned in the last 2 years to prepare us for this year, has been really good. But the things that we're learning about running for a championship, whether we win this thing or not, we have learned what it takes, to go for that title and to be in a championship race. And I tell you, that's some experience that is just, unbelievable how valuable it can be to you.
His title rival Earnhardt won this race last year to clinch his 7th title. I tried to get him to reminisce, and he quickly turned the question around.
Pretty great feeling, and Rockingham's a special racetrack for us, and I like racing here, and so we're looking for big things to happen Sunday. 200 points out, we're not far out.
Yeah, when you got what?
It's too early to drink champagne.
Well, if Gordon needed a reminder of that, it came in the last race 2 weeks ago at Charlotte. He dropped a drive shaft and a bag full of points to Earnhardt, but it hasn't changed his attitude a bit.
I feel very content with whatever we're given this year. I mean, we've had a tremendous year. We're going for this championship. We feel like we can win it, but, there's certain things out there that are going to happen, and we're just going to continue to go out there, give it 100%, do the best job that we can, try to win the races, try to finish in the top 5 or 10. And if it doesn't happen, then, it just wasn't meant to be.
With that, let's play the numbers game. Gordon's magic number this week is 351 points. Any combination of finishes netting him 351 from the last 3 races, and he'll clinch the championship. Coincidentally, when the drive shaft broke at Charlotte, Jeff lost 97 points off his lead. If the reverse of that should happen tomorrow, Gordon gains 97 points on Earnhardt. Hey, it's over. That's exactly what he would need to clinch the championship. Well, Gordon and Earnhardt may be the championship contenders, but Mark Martin's certainly done his best to keep him honest this season, and he comes here to Rockingham on quite a roll. Mark standing by with my pal Alan Bestwick.
Well, Dave, if you count Busch Series races, Mark Martin's going for a 4th straight NASCAR race win. You're on quite a roll. This team seems to hit its stride in the fall. Why?
I don't know. We're just lucky right now. We've run good all year long. We haven't won on a lot of days that we could have, and we've won on a few days lately that we might not have. It's just, that's racing. That's why you have to do it every week, because, if not, you don't, what goes around doesn't come around.
Tell me about you trying for 4 straight wins in this fall Busch Series race here at Rockingham this afternoon. It seems like it would get harder each time it goes, odds-wise, yet you keep knocking them off. Why is that?
I think the key word here is luck. We haven't lucked in any of these races, but, well, we kind of did when Dale Jarrett got disqualified in Michigan. But we pretty much have to run our best, do our best job every day. And sometimes you win when you shouldn't, and sometimes you don't win when you should. Strings seem to come sometimes, and then they won't get going other times. We just have to enjoy it while it's good and keep our, our nose to the grindstone, when it's not.
No, it's good right now. We wish you luck both this afternoon and tomorrow. Mark Martin going for a 3rd straight Winston Cup win here at Rockingham.
All right, thanks, Alan. Mark Martin, a guy that'll run you just as hard, whether the distance is 40 yards or 400 miles. Tomorrow, it happens to be 400 miles. The AC Delco 400 marks the shortening of the races here at North Carolina Motor Speedway from the traditional 500 miles distance. 400's perfect for TV. Speaking of TV, we'll be back with more of that right after the commercial break. We're going to talk about the wholesale crew shuffles over at car number 2. Stay with us. NASCAR Today is brought to you by the NASCAR Story. For the complete history of NASCAR on home video, call 1-800-71-NASCAR. Robin Pemberton, crew chief for Rusty Wallace's Miller Genuine Draft Ford, a man with his hands full this week. We know about silly season. Typically in Winston Cup, it refers to that time of year when the drivers all shuffle off to new teams. But this year, more than any in recent memory, the silly season changes have involved the crews, and the crew in the spotlight this week is Rusty's. Now, Wallace's longtime chassis specialist, Todd Parrott, has moved to Robert Yates Racing. We'll hear from him a little later. 3 members of Rusty's operation have joined Kyle Petty's team. Billy Woodruff will be Kyle's crew chief next year. David Evans will build the engines, assisted by Ronnie Phillips, another former Wallace team member.
We've got them staying back at the shop right now working on 1996. There's going to probably be a new restrictor plate rule for Daytona. So David Evans is back at the shop. He's ordering new parts. Billy's measuring cars. He's looking at the cars that we've got right now that he likes, that Kyle likes, and we're ordering cars. They're all looking at 1996.
Meanwhile, back in the 2 garage, Wallace's crew chief Robin Pemberton downplays the departures and puts a positive spin on the whole thing.
You know, a few of the people that haven't been happy for months, you know, it's probably a blessing in disguise. It's an opportunity for them to go do other things, and it's an opportunity for us to move some people up in the company or to move some people around, you know, and somewhere along the lines, a new young kid will get a chance to start at the bottom and come up through there like we all have.
All right, time now to get the driver's reaction to these Brew Crew departures. Here's Alan with Rusty Wallace.
All right, Dave. So, Rusty, what is going on? Why are all these people walking out the door?
It's just a coincidence, to tell you the truth. We've had a couple engine builders. You know, you say all the people. It's not really. It's only 3 guys to speak of. The engine builder had an opportunity to make twice the money, and to tell you the truth, I wasn't willing to up the ante that much. Just wasn't going to happen. My chassis guy, Todd Parrott's been with me for a long time. He had a golden opportunity. An opportunity was to move ahead as a crew chief and to make more money. We're still good friends, and we talked it over. And he said, man, I want to stay to the end of the year. And I said, I thought about it, and I said, you know, I just didn't think that was correct, leaving somebody stay here. It might set a bad shadow across the team. But I really got to tell you, right now, it's honestly better than it's ever been, because a lot of my guys inside the shop got to move one step up. And, God, they're so happy. We just finished a 3-day test in Phoenix, Arizona. It went absolutely wonderful. And I just wish that everything could have been this nice like it is right now the last 3 or 4 years. I had no idea what was going on. It was going good. We're winning a lot of races, and I appreciate what those guys have done for me, because they're excellent guys, and I wish them luck in everything they do. But there's one thing for sure. We haven't took one step back.
So you feel like you had a deep enough bullpen that you're just rolling right along and no effect on preparations, and you're ready to roll?
Well, you got to believe that the Penske team has got enough depth to it that one person leaving or 2 or 3 is not going to stop it, you know. David Evans and Ronnie Phillips weren't the engine builders. Steve and a guy named Bird, a good friend of ours, they're the engine builders. They build it. We brought a couple people in and stepped it right up, and, man, we're making more power yet right now. But like I say, you can't say nothing bad about anybody, because we won a lot of races, and I wish them all luck in everything they've done. But I just want to assure the fans and everybody that this team's stronger than it's ever been. It really is.
All right, good luck, Rusty. Coming off a string of 6 straight top 10 finishes, looking for a 7th at Rockingham.
All right, thanks, guys. In this business, we hear a lot about the right chemistry, the right combination, and often that refers not to the nuts and bolts of stock car racing, but rather to the people. The wholesale departures from the 2 crew bring to mind the question, A, how do you get the right people, and B, after you get them, how do you keep them?
We had people locked down. Some of the people that left had contracts. They broke their contracts, and we're not real pleased with that, you know. We went on and as a company, we paid people more money for a longer period of time and signed them the contracts. You know, we're a little bit disappointed that they didn't honor their word on some of these things, that whether they allow themselves to be approached or approach others, you know, we don't know what happened there, and it doesn't really matter. The point is we signed people, and we really feel betrayed by those people.
What I try and do is never let it come down to money. I don't think it's about money with anybody on this team. When I start and I hire people and I work with people, you come to know them, and if they're goal-oriented, you know, the money will come, so they're not worried about the money. But if people are leaving your team and saying it's because of the money, they might not be the people that I would want anyway if it's just a money thing. But you've also got to give people space to grow and let them feel like they're part of the deal. You know, this whole thing is too big for one man to think he's smart enough to handle. You know, we've got another saying at our shop that says none of us is as smart as all of us, and that's the truth. So, you know, I'm concerned about my people, but my biggest concern is that they can step up and fulfill their dreams too.
Evernham's approach aside, money is an issue for crewmen, and at least one car owner is worried about a price war.
You can only keep going back to that sponsor and asking them for more money to pay these for these additional expenses, and we're trying to keep a steady eye on the cost of racing, and I think NASCAR has done that, and they need to continue to look at it, and the team members and the team owners themselves, instead of just selfishly going over and buying a person, they need to try to raise those people within their organizations, kind of like having your own farm team or whatever.
But once a crewman decides to go, the move itself often comes quickly and at the crew chief's request.
As we develop and try to make things better for the team, the 40 or 50 that are there remaining, you know, we don't feel like we need to school somebody who's going to go on and bring another team up to speed. Let them stub their toes just like everybody else did getting up the ladder.
All right, after the break, we'll have more crew chief news, and after NASCAR today, we'll go from the team effort in the garage area to teamwork on the gridiron. South Bend, Indiana is where we're headed next. College game day team of Fowler, Corso, and James will be on hand for Notre Dame versus the University of Southern Cal. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to NASCAR today. More silly season stuff, more crew news. Dale Earnhardt's team has made it official how they will replace their departing crew chief, Andy Petrie. Earnhardt's longtime jackman, David Smith, will carry the crew chief title next year. He says he's not intimidated by the intimidator.
You know, I know that there'll be times he's on edge, you know, and fired up and whatever, you know, and he kind of snapped a little bit, you know, or sounded a little bit gruff in his voice. Well, I've heard all that. And some of the times been directed towards me. Well, I understand that, you know, but that doesn't scare me. I've seen the other sides of Dale Earnhardt because I've known him all these years. And so I'm not, you know, I'm not intimidated by Dale Earnhardt because I know the man. And, yeah, his image in that race car, you know, he's got to be a tough guy out there because there's some guys out here trying to eat your lunch if you don't. So we want to keep that aspect to the team. You know, we want people to know that we're here for real and that Dale Earnhardt's for real, and I think everybody knows that.
Elsewhere, the assets of Kenny Bernstein's team will go on the auction block next month. The team manager, Richard Broom, will become Ricky Rudd's crew chief next year.
Dave, I put a lot of thought into it. Knowing Ricky Rudd, knowing the kind of guy he is, and how much will he has to win, I just felt like that was the right move for me. And like I said to you before, I don't think Ricky needs a whole lot of help. All he needs is just kind of fine-tune what he's got.
And Troy Selberg, currently crew chief for Todd Bodine, will be reunited with Lake Speed next year as the crew chief on the 9 car.
Well, you know, me and Lake have worked well together before, and this business has really changed in the past 10 or 15 years, and the fact that the money is almost the same all the way across the board, and so is the technology. All these teams know what everyone else is doing, so it gets down to a people business, and that's like any other business in the world. And I see that if the crew chief and the driver can work good together and you can get a good crew behind them, you have an unbeatable combination. And a lot of these people in this garage area don't have that.
Finally, yesterday was Todd Parrott's first day at the racetrack as crew chief for Robert Yates' second team.
They say opportunity only knocks once sometimes, and Robert was knocking at the door, and I had to jump on that train before it got out of town.
You know, Todd's daddy, Buddy Parrott, was kind of hoping he'd get Todd over to the Roush Racing team where Buddy's going to be crew chief on Jeff Burton's 3rd car in that organization next year. Todd said, Dad, time for me to get out there and do this my own way. And besides, how could I pass up the chance to be crew chief for the last 3 races of the year for Ernie Irvin, who just happens to be standing by with our Alan Bestwick.
All right, Dave, wanted to talk with Ernie about the first super speedway race. You tested down here a week ago. Are the reaction times that you need quicker, and how comfortable were you?
Well, everything from our test went really good. You know, we're still keeping an open mind to it, and we're just going to have to prove it to ourselves and to all the people in the grandstands. And, you know, the test, like I say, went real well, and, you know, we ran some good laps, and we're real confident that we'll be able to do well here.
Things went so well at Wilkesboro and the truck race you ran last week. Are you past the point of hedging? Are you back and are you here, or is this still considered somewhat experimental for you?
Well, up until last week, I'd been racing with the eye patch on, and last week I ran for the first time with my glasses on. That's actually got a prism in the left eye. And I've been telling everybody that I still have vision out of my left eye, but it just doesn't move exactly right. Well, with this prism, it actually makes it where, I don't see double when I'm looking at you or I'm looking at the fans. I don't see double. So, that's good. And both eyes work together pretty well, but there's certain points that I can actually see double. But actually in the race car, you don't actually have to look that far to the left or that far to the right or up and down. So, I'm pretty fortunate about that. And I've got so used to wearing the glasses that it worked real well last week at Bakersfield. And, I haven't got to run here at Rockingham because I hadn't done it before then. But, I think that's going to really take us past the edge of really being real concerned.
All right, so another step along the way. The patch comes off and the glasses go on for Ernie here at Rockingham. Good luck this weekend. Dave?
All right, thanks, guys. Ernie's comeback, which began in the NASCAR Super Truck and continues this weekend in the Cup Car here at Rockingham, will then extend into the Busch Grand National Division. Napa United Brakes, who sponsor his truck, announced this week they'll put their colors on Ernie's car for the November 5th Busch Series finale at Homestead, Florida. And we're going to take a break and come back with more Busch news from here at Rockingham right after this. Hey, race fans, be sure and check out RPM tonight on ESPN2 every Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Kenny Mayne has the definitive rundown on the weekend's racing action. Here at Rockingham in the Busch Garage, a lot of news being made this weekend in anticipation of this afternoon's AC Delco 200. Let's start with the new home for the reigning Busch champion. David Green made it official this week. He'll drive the number 95 Caterpillar car and chase a second Busch championship next year.
It's probably the next step for David Green in his racing career, and it's a perfect step, another year of Busch and try to win another championship and move on and get into Winston Cup racing. So couldn't think of a better company. Caterpillar's new to NASCAR racing, and looks like I'm going to be their first full-time driver, so I'm excited about that.
Elsewhere, Tracy Leslie has left the Detroit Gasket car after 141 straight starts. Todd Bodine goes into the cockpit for the last two races this year. And Leslie, meanwhile, was immediately invited to drive car 64, replacing Randy LaJoy. Patty Moise has announced she'll form her own Busch team after losing her ride to Tim Fedewa. And Johnny Benson can clinch the Busch championship here this afternoon. He's with Alan Bestwick.
All right, Dave, Johnny clinches the Busch Series title by finishing 15th or better today, or in any combination of finishing positions by losing less than 63 points to Chad. So what's the attitude? Let it all hang out or don't screw it up?
We're going to let it all hang out. We're here to race. We're here to see if we can't win another race this year. Not going to do anything different we did at Charlotte. Let it hang out a little bit too much there, but, we're still going to race to win.
Homestead, all the attention it's gotten, all the accidents and testing and all that, is there a little more pressure, do you feel, to wrap this up today and not take a chance when you get there?
I know Steve Bird and the crew, they wanted this done today, and myself too, but that's not how we're going to look at it. We're just going to look at it. We got 2 races left. We're going to do what we can. We're going to do like we've been all year, just try to run consistent, try to be up front, see if we can't win another race, and let the points fall where they're going to fall. We're in a good position. Lipton Team Monte Carlo has been running great all year. The guys just been doing a super job. So we're just gonna try to keep doing the same thing we've been doing.
Well, his attitudes has been as consistent as his finishing. He said all along, going to race the race and see where the points fall where they may. Johnny Benson probably going to lock the title up here today.
Well, Benson, of course, will be driving a Pontiac next year, and a little later we'll talk about how the 96 Grand Prix has been testing thus far. Also, the question, what might Ford get in the way of rule changes for 96 to help level the playing field with the Monte Carlo?
We're, of course, getting a new nose and hood that goes with the nose for the production Thunderbird. And, of course, a version of that will be made and to be approved by NASCAR. And that's the design and appearance has been approved so far. We have to submit the pieces to them yet for the actual piece of approval for this deal, though. But, yeah, we're waiting for some answers more than we're asking more questions right now.
Thanks, Preston. Now we'll go to break with a look at the 96 Pontiac. Rick Mast made it official yesterday. Number 1 will be a Grand Prix next year. Kyle Petty will talk about the new car's performance after this. Here's a quick reminder, ESPN is all over this World Series stuff. We'll review the year 1975, Cincinnati-Boston, maybe the best series ever. How would I know? Watch and decide tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. We're back to talk Pontiac with Kyle Petty, who has tested 2 of his new 96s, and I'm hearing the word drag a lot. What's up with the new car?
Well, we tested an intermediate car a couple of weeks ago. Went to the wind tunnel with it. It looked really good. We were pretty pleased with that. We tested the Speedway car this last Monday and Tuesday with Ward Burton and those guys down at Talladega. It goes to the wind tunnel next Monday, but it wasn't really fast. The times we've had it in the wind tunnel, it showed a lot of drag. So that seems to be the problem right now. We're trying to knock 10 or 15 counts of drag, just like everybody else in the Winston Cup garage, out of their Speedway stuff.
Now, are you in a position then to lobby NASCAR and get some templates that'll help solve that problem? Is that going to be a kind of a rerun of what we saw with the Monte Carlo?
I think Pontiac needs to go to Washington. We have lobbied NASCAR for so many years for everything, you know what I mean? So, I think we're in a position to say, okay, this is what we need. We're showing it to you in black and white on paper, kind of like the Monte Carlo guys did last year and kind of like the Ford guys are doing over the winter. They're getting new noses and tails and stuff, so, we're right in there digging with the rest of them.
Let's talk about this Pontiac. Check it out, Kyle Petty, the Great Pumpkin, new paint for number 42. What's up with that?
Well, I tell you what, Coors does a major promotion over the Halloween weekends. So they decided they'd bring it out at Rockingham, do it at Phoenix, really. We put the Great Pumpkin on the car because I thought the car was so ugly I didn't want my name on it, so we put something totally different. So we're leaving this one to Charlie Brown.
Petty will ride with Elvira, the lady of the night, this weekend at Rockingham. Now, here's a car that will not get new paint next year. R.J. Reynolds will again sponsor Travis Carter's Smokin' Joe's Ford. Jimmy Spencer remains as the driver. And for the latest on plans for car 11 next year, let's go to Alan Bestwick.
All right, Dave, wanted to get an update from Brett Bodine. Story's been in the news a lot this week. Rumors that he has basically bought out Junior Johnson. Brett, what is the situation? What can you tell us?
Well, Junior and I have discussed a lot of different options, and we're looking at different things, and by no means is it a done deal. We've got to make sure that everybody understands that. We're talking about some things and some possibilities between us, but right now we have really nothing more to report than just that.
How do you keep focused on getting a race car ready to go racing these last few races with all this swirling around? I'm sure your phone's ringing constantly.
Well, it is, and it's been very busy, and but racing's my life, and I devote 100% to it as much as I can, and it's just a situation where you got to do the business at hand. We're at the racetrack. Let's worry about racing. The guys have done a great job preparing this car, and I think that Lowe's Ford Thunderbird's ready to go.
Well, all indications are that Junior Johnson will maintain some involvement with that team, even if it's a paper involvement, just to keep that plan money coming for Brett next year. With that, we are fresh out of time. Let me quickly remind you that College Game Day is next. We're going to South Bend, Indiana, with the Game Day team previewing the Notre Dame USC game. Tomorrow, we'll come back here to Rockingham. We'll be joining you at noon Eastern Time on ESPN2 for the pre-race edition of the NASCAR Today show immediately preceding the AC Delco 400. And, of course, next week we're off to Phoenix for the semifinal round of the race for the Winston Cup Championship. NASCAR Today on a daily basis on MRN radio stations. Alan Bestwick has that for you. Check out your local guide. And until next week, I'm Dave Despain saying so long from Rockingham.